Welcome to the 2020 Economic Depression and Preparation Channel. I'm your host, Tony. Thank you for joining me on this October 29th, 2020, Thursday, as we getting ready for a long weekend. We must see that, as you know, the stock market tumbled 900 points yesterday, but today it magically rose some 300 points as stocks rebounded from the worst sell-off in months. And according to reports, tech stocks led the comeback, of course, as they represent over 60% of the trading volume on a lot of these companies that, we're talking about the Facebook, the Apples, the Googles, the Microsofts, the Amazons. But is that enough to recover from an economy that still has 65 million people unemployed, that is still facing the prospect of higher taxes regardless of who gets in office in January? And we have this housing moratorium, this rent, eviction, and housing mortgage moratorium that ends December 31st, and there's no deal in sight. Stimulus is being delayed. The stock market and Main Street is experiencing a big disconnect. People are wondering what's going to happen after December, after Christmas, if we make it there. The only bright spot today that I have to report is that the weekless jobless claims was only 751,000 compared to 778 that was 751,000 compared to 778,000 that was expected. So that's the only bright spot that I have. But ladies and gentlemen, we must realize this is the 31st straight week that we've had jobless claims losses above 500,000 regardless. But nevertheless, this marks the lowest initial jobless claims report since the week of March 14, when they only came in at 282,000. And so the media and others are painting this as a bright spot. And I agree. Hey, the numbers, they coming down. That's great. But the problem is that there's no new job creation taking that place. So that means that, whether you're initially unemployed for 6 months or unemployed for good or furloughed, there's no new job creation taking place in the American economy. As a matter of fact, arguably the worldwide economy, with the exception of China, whose economy is still, on the up and up for the most part, because they have production, they have the means of manufacturing and other that, which things that we don't have. And plus they have the corona pandemic under control, which we don't have, looking at the numbers, and we're on a second wave. We never got over the first wave of this pandemic, and now the media is saying that we're going into a second wave, which may lead to lockdowns. And that's why it's so important for you to get prepared. Start getting your solar-powered ham radios, solar-powered lights. Start getting your food, your water, because once the things shut down, once these businesses, we go into curfew, because some places in Europe are already in curfew. That's coming over here, ladies and gentlemen. Once these numbers spike and these parameters spike in the Northeast or in the out west or in the Midwest and the South, you can bet your bottom dollar that the governments and the local governments and state governments are going to be imposing even stricter lockdowns. So that means curfews. That means stricter supplies. Maybe you can only get one water a week. Bottled water case a week, or maybe you can only get, and even for car parts, maybe you go in there, you need a new battery for your car, maybe you gotta wait because there's a queue. They're gonna reduce in supplies and furniture, car parts, you name it. Seeds, maybe you try to go and get mountain seeds or non-GMO seeds, heirloom seeds at some of these stores. Maybe you can't find them because they're hiding in the back or they cut the supplies. These is what's coming. Supply shock shortages are coming. Civil unrest is coming at a much greater scale than what you see on TV. And it's nothing to be afraid of, but it's just that you need to get prepared because this is what's coming, and you can already see the writing on the wall. And what they're going to do is they're going to try to pump it up with more stimulus in an event to try to create inflation. But this is what I've been predicting, and this is what I've been telling you since the beginning of the year, is that it's not an inflationary depression. It's a deflationary depression, just like in 1929. What that means is that there's going to be asset price deflation. There's going to be consumer inflation, because in the sense that there's going to be less supplies for people to buy, but there's also going to be fewer dollars chasing less supplies because the money supply is not circulating. The velocity of money is not circulating because people are staying at home. They're not buying as much goods and services because obviously the economy is shut down. You go to any city, township, village, parish in America, and they're basically at a standstill, shut down. Only essential services are running, and even that is kind of at a limited basis. And so because the velocity of money has slowed down, meaning the number of times the money your dollar bill exchanges hands with a small business customer or a restaurant or a bar or a gym, etc., we're heading toward a massive period of deflation, possibly 10 to 12 years. And this is going to make this depression so bad. It's because we're going to have a situation where we're going to have low supplies, low liquidity, low amount of dollars, right? People are saving money now because they're, obviously for rightfully so, because, we have rents, mortgages, car payments, insurances, kids' bills, etc. to meet. And we don't know if we're going to have a job tomorrow because of that situation. So you want to try to make sure that cash is king. And also, I would even say at this point, and I know a lot of people don't agree with me, but I would say cryptos are not that bad of an investment. Just a little bit, I'm saying, because not Bitcoin, but there is some other cryptos that could be a viable investment if we do come out on the other side. Digital currency is what we're going to, a cashless society. And so whatever they come up with, the Federal Reserve Bank come up with after this dollar is going to be taken out because of the high debt and the deflationary status. But this is going to be 10 years out. This is going to be at least 10, 12 years out before we get to that. But just think about that for after the collapse, what you want to have. But right now, food, water, medicine, clothes, durable goods is going to be the new currency in America as we transition from a first world country into a third world country in a matter of years. And so this transition is going to be piece by piece. And it's not going to be complete until 2023, 2024. But these initial stages right now is going to be absolutely painful starting next year because we're going to be going into lockdowns. Things are not going to go back to normal. This is the new normal, and people that are hoping on this thing to get back to like normal, we can just go travel anywhere we want or do anything we want. Democracy is dying. There's an article out by a scientist, and he says that democracy is dying in the world. And I would have to agree that democracy is dying, not just in America, but in other parts of the world too. The last bastion of freedom that we have, especially economic freedom, is being taken away from us. The freedom of the small businesses to create jobs for people in our towns, to create jobs for actual Americans and not those, who come in here illegally or whatever. That is going away, ladies and gentlemen. And so we have to prepare ourselves. We have to brace ourselves for what's coming. And what's coming is going to be a disaster, a mess. And none of the politicians are going to be able to save us. None of the people is going to be able to help us. As a matter of fact, they may be the ones that caused it. And this is all by design. This is all by plan because the ultra super rich top 1% man has made his money, all the money that can be made. And now he's left everybody else to fend for themselves during this depression. So the stock market is disconnected. We're in the fourth quarter right now. And what's going to happen is the next thing that we're going to be seeing in this collapse is not only the housing collapse. That's going to be the number one thing is the housing collapse. And as a matter of fact, because the moratorium is not going to be extended, that means a lot of people in the lower end apartments and lower end single family homes, not in the upper end, is going to be affected first. Okay, and then the people who are trying to sell their homes and downsize and get ready for this depression, they're not going to be able to do so. They're going to be upside down on a lot of these homes. You see these $300,000 homes, the $500,000 homes, that bracket. They're going to be upside down on these homes in a lot of states like California, Illinois, Texas, Florida, Arizona, you name it, Idaho. Michigan. So what's going to happen is that's what's going to happen. And so that's going to be the next bubble to pop. After that bubble pop, the stock market will be the last bubble to, so quote unquote, pop, because they want to make it seem like this is on a recovery, on a swing. And the other thing that's going to pop too is the infrastructure. As you know, the American infrastructure has been crumbling the last 25 years, and no bill has been passed in the last 50 years to repair the American infrastructure. I'm talking about the bridge, roads, skyscrapers, lights, the power grid. And that's why this is going to be so bad, because the infrastructure is going to be crumbling at the same time, and they won't have enough money to print up, because we didn't even get enough money to print up to finish this wall that President Trump has been talking about. So with crumbling infrastructure, that means that people are going to be living under bad circumstances, and crime is going to go up. And so that's why security, all your preps need to be topped off, and just continue to do the best you can. No one's saying you're going to be perfect with the preps. I'm not perfect in my preps, but every day I add to it something that I think will be beneficial for when time gets hard, because times are going to get, this is just the beginning. We haven't seen nothing yet. Can you imagine going without power for 6 months or a year? Okay, that's how bad it's going to be. You see these people with the hurricane, bless their souls, in Louisiana. They're going to be without, in Georgia too. Zeta just came through. They're going to be without power for at least 1 to 2 weeks, okay, or maybe even 3 weeks in some of these neighborhoods. So can you imagine that, and not having anything prepared, not having a way to cooking, not having a wood burning stove or a grill to cook your food because you have an electric stove, and you propane, to cook your food if you have an electric stove. You don't have that. Can you imagine not having solar powered lights or solar powered chargers to charge your phone, to charge or a portable Jackery generator, the solar generator to charge your appliances and your equipment up? These are the kind of things you need to be thinking about. Another good thing also is, like I said, blue tarps, Mylar survival tents and gear, that kind of thing, because this is what you're going to be able to need during times of trouble that we're going to be going through in the next couple of years, because you're not going to be able to get these supplies in America once China trade deal has fallen through, and once these other countries stop sending stuff over here to the United States that we get all our goods from, then that's when things are going to hit the fan, and it's already starting now. So get prepared, continue to be prepared. The weekly jobless numbers really don't mean that much because, like I said, there's 65 million people unemployed. So the numbers can come down, but they're never going to be to a point where this is still the greatest number of people we have unemployed since the Great Depression. And there's no talk about how to get these people back to work or how to get them into a situation where things are going to be better for them. So we know this economy is bad, and all I can say is continue to get prepared. And we just have to wait and see. We're going to make it through the holiday season. This may be the last good Christmas or something, Thanksgiving, Christmas that we have. Let's count our blessings, because next year is going to be a totally different ball game, regardless of who's in office. They're basically telling us right now that the government is broke and it's insolvent and we just don't have no money. They're just going to continue to print up money that they don't have, and it's not going to be enough to jumpstart the economy that's already on life support. So thank you very much for joining me. Be safe out there. Continue to prepare, and I'll talk to you guys very soon tomorrow. Bye-bye.